back, ladies and gentlemen. Gungans, Droids, Kiata, Mundiconas. It's that time of the year where once every 4 months, I guess now, we get kit reveals for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, my friends. Where today, hey, we got ourselves all of the Andor era kit reveals, and my, oh my, we have the ISB coming to the game, and allegedly some Krennic probe droid fixins around the corner. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys be interested in that. We're gonna try something a little bit different this time around. Well, last time they decided to drop 5 bajillion kits on us. I was like, all right, maybe we'll just post 6 different videos. This time, we're just gonna record them all at once in kind of a longer video format. So we'll see which one you guys like a bit more. You know, it's harder to kind of go back and like find a specific kit if they're all kind of in one video. Anyways, I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of dropping all the kits at once, because especially now that we know how all these marquees roll out, where essentially, you know, we see the last one comes out April 21st or April 28th. Essentially, to me, it's like, all right, I guess it's going to be quiet until May of 2026. Kind of wish they would slow roll it more, kind of give us something to look forward to, kind of like what they used to do. But anyways, let's get down to business. We have 6 marquees: Kleya, Vel, Cinta, and I think the ones that we're mostly looking forward to: Dedra, Major Partagaz, Cassian, Andor, and a new KX Enforcer droid marquee. And allegedly, I can't promise it, apparently, Meathead said into SWH Events Discord server that, well, we might be getting some extra touches to Krennic and some other folks, like the IPD, I believe, for the ISB faction that's going to be happening. It's the ISB faction we're going to go over kind of gives me sort of a rebel fighter vibe, but for the Empire. You guys ready for it? Let's do it. We have a lot to go over. I guess maybe really quickly, let's go over their changes to the era system. So I had a suspicion we were going to get a little bit of a reflection. Like, all right, here's what we saw. Here's what we think. Now that we have completed our first era with Coliseum and all that. And, well, not really too many changes that I think are what we were hoping for. First and foremost, being able to enjoy the characters as they get released would be nice. You know, but they said they're going to be making some changes to Coliseum, specifically regarding strategic variety. So let's just kind of get to what they're saying. So firstly, they're reducing early era pressure. One of the loudest feedback was the crystal crunch at the start of an era. To address this, we are making the following changes. They're lowering the requirements for the first 3 marquees of the Andor era. The EL requirement, era level requirement, for the final tiers will be reduced from era level 70 to 55. Requirements for the final 3 marquees will remain at EL 70, as players will have more time to naturally accumulate materials by that stage. And they're also going to be creating a smart store management. We are temporarily removing the Tier 8 era materials bundles from the store until they are actually applicable. Yeah, one of the biggest concerns that I had, this era had a lot of confusion. I'm assuming a lot of people spent money not understanding literally how big of a money pit it is, especially earlier on. And, well, I'm glad they're making changes, but man, a little bit concerning how that rolled out. We want to ensure players don't accidentally overspend the materials they are currently gated from using due to Xeric ability module constraints. And now the Coliseum and strategic variety. We want the Coliseum to feel like a place where your roster growth is always a benefit. So now they're going to have summon units that will now scale based on your highest level era unit. Before, it didn't work like that. And sometimes bringing in a lone unit, well, it would make it a bit more difficult to get a good score. And also leader-based summons. So to add a new layer, they're going to be now basing some spawnable summons based off the leader. So a rebel leader will bring different reinforcements than an ISB, Imperial Security Bureau leader, allowing for more tailored theory crafting. Summon unit adjustments. Summon units will be available on later tiers than we had on the 10th anniversary. So now, if the leader's a rebel fighter, we'll be talking about those in a moment. Some of the following units: Pow, Saw, Cinta, Vel. And if there's an ISB lead, then you'll get IPD, Krennic, KX, and Partagaz. Some units will be at the player's highest air level, brought into battle rather than the lowest. And then now, we'll also have hero abilities. These are currently being targeted for release during the middle of the era. More information to come as details are finalized. Era challenges. More ways to play will be introduced during the second era challenge. So, yeah, era challenges. Wow, what a very boring game that is. I'm trying to think of a more artistic way of explaining it. we'll be introducing a new 4 feet era system, or 4 feet system for era challenges. Era challenge tier will now feature 4 distinct feats with escalating EL requirements. I should also say, I'll leave timestamps if you just want to get to the character kit reveals. Again, this is technically like 7 videos in one, so I'll leave timestamps all in one video here. The goal is to provide a reason to revisit challenges as your squad grows, giving everyone, especially free-to-play players, more opportunities to earn rewards. Yeah, it was really weird. It was a very boring event. There really wasn't much to it. You just play it and make sure your air level's at the right spot so you can win it. There really wasn't much strategy. It was like, did you get this level investment? Okay, we'll let you win. Then it sits there for a whole week, not even repeatable. At least the marquee event's repeatable, right? So kind of interesting. And then to eliminate the moving goalpost feeling, we want to be upfront about the journey guide requirements. I appreciate that they shared this. The requirements for Cassian and Undercover will be similar to the mall events. So looks like Cassian's gonna be the new legendary journey guide event here, where now you're gonna need Kleya, Vel, Cinta, Dedra, Mater, Partagaz, and KX security droid. Tier 1 will require marquees for 1 to 5 at 5 stars, or 4 stars. Kleya at air level 45. Then that'll get you Cassian at 4 stars. And then, tier 2, you need them at 5 stars, air level 55. You'll get Cassian at 5 stars. And then, again, we saw this with Maul. Requires marquees 1 through 6 at 6 stars. KX at air level 70. And then tier 4 requiring level 85 air level. And you'll be able to get Cassian at 7 stars. So remember, the air materials scale exponentially toward the end of the 12-week cycle. The free track of the 3rd episode pass will contain significantly more EL currency to help bridge that gap to those final levels. And the era battles, the squad you recruit during the era of Andor, are your ticket to the exclusive era battle launching in the next cycle. So that's one of the things people like to see if you're going to get a new character. All right, you're going to get essentially an assault battle dedicated to those characters you got. So I don't think are they doing an assault battle or era battle for this one that we're leaving? I don't recall them saying so. It'd be nice if they did, I guess. And their goal is to have 12 era battle events run per era, alternating between on and off throughout the week. And there will be 2 different era battles, each with different requirements. And then we have our transitions and legacy. Following the 10th anniversary, units will move the shipments about a week after the era concludes, and units will move to nodes on bi-weekly cadence following that. Once the era of Andor concludes, these units will receive dedicated squad-based FDC. So FDCs are still a thing, it looks like. We just didn't have them for this cycle of Datacron that they just added here. And here's all the levelings and what you're gonna get as a result. Yeah, one thing that was really weird, spending all these very difficult era materials that you come across, and you'd get like no upgrade. It's like, give us something, just make up something. I don't know. And closing thought, the era system is a living platform while EL remains the primary driver of content mastery. These changes are designed to make the journey toward an end of era feel more structured with less pressure. I don't know. We'll see. None of this really screams like, oh, it's going to get so much better. I don't think they're really addressing a lot of the feedback that we were hoping for, but at the very minimum, I'm hoping that the strategic variety is going to be a big deal. That's what I'm looking for, because Coliseum, to me so far, it's like 90%. It's already predetermined by an Excel spreadsheet, 5% strategy, and 5% RNG. That's the way I'm interpreting all of that. But anyways, moving on. Let's get to the kit reveals now. We got to wait till like May to get all this, man. All right. Let's check it out. So Kleya, it's going to be starting February 10th, so starting next week. I want to get excited, but it's like, well, we can't really play with these characters, though. Oh, man. I guess, with how they're talking about spawning characters, and maybe we'll kind of get a glimpse of it, but without modding, Omicron, Zetas, fighting, opposing teams in, arena, grand arena territories, it's going to be hard to get the full picture. So let's just start off with that. Here we go. Unfortunately, not all the kits had their art approved in time for this post, but I wanted to make sure you at least had the information to read through it. All right. So first marquee is going to be Kleya. Arriving at the holotape was Luthen Rail's most trusted partner. I saw a lot of people like, oh man, hope we get Kleya. Here you go. And the operational backbone of the entire Rebel network, Kleya proves that the rebellion was built by those willing to do whatever it takes. Even when it meant crossing lines others wouldn't dare. Whether meticulously gathering intel for years or getting her hands dirty to strike at the Empire directly. She stands as a symbol of determination and pure grit, someone stopping at nothing to protect the rebellion and make sure it survived. Kleya is designed to be a high-powered marquee attacker who slots seamlessly into Cassian Andor Undercover and Luthen Rail's Rebel fighter squad. So, Let's take a little gander, shall we? And that's like kind of another thing I enjoyed. You know, it's like as I get these marquees, I can use them in the meantime, plug it into these lineups. It's sort of like when we got Drogon. Yeah, Leia wasn't here, but it was nice throwing in Drogon in a variety of Rebel Squad lineups, whether Mon Mothma, Saw Gerrera. It was kind of nice where I feel like I'm not gonna be able to appreciate that as much if we're just gonna get everything kind of dropped on us at once here. Anyways, moving on here. Basic ability, what revolution looks like. Deal physical damage to target enemy, and if Luthen rails an ally at the start of the battle, this attack can't be evaded. If all allies are rebel fighters, this attack will always be a critical hit if able, and deal 150% critical damage against undermined enemies. Hold the phone, we'll get to that undermined here in a second, but so far, looking interesting. Undermine gives you plus 25 speed, minus 25% critical avoidance, and critical chance. Can't gain bonus turn meter. Ooh, I think a few teams aren't gonna like that all that much here. For the sake of time, I'll pause it. Feel free to read the inspiration. We have a lot of kits to go through here, so let's move on. There might be some things that are interesting, like for example, Cassian or Undercover. When Cassian spreads Undermine across enemies, setting up Kleya's critical damage bonus. Actually, do we have the Undercover kit reveal? Hold on. Did I scroll past it? Did we have it? Do we not have it right now? Let's see. Yeah. Work with him. Yeah, no. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Is that the guy right there? Yeah. Beautiful. I skipped right over it, man. Okay. Get back to where we were, my friends. Where were we? Back to Kleya. Kleya slay time. All right, come on. Jeez. Okay, are we almost there yet? No, we're not there yet. Keep moving, people. Keep moving. We're almost there. Whew. All right. We're back online, folks. Let's get down to the special 2. This is do or die. Cooldown of 4 with the Zeta ability. Deal physical damage to all enemies and inflict burning for 1 turn. Remove 50% terminator from undermined enemies that increase their cooldowns by 1. Target ally gains keen stratagem for the rest of the encounter. If target ally is Luthen Rail and he has 25% health or less, defeat him! And he can't be revived. Ooh, man. Oh, kind of a sad little nod to how his story panned out, right? Then you get to look at this. You revive all rebel fighter allies with 100% health. It's sort of like Luthen Rail died so the rebellion can live on. Oh, that's so poetic right there. Inflict ability block on all enemies for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled, evaded, or resisted. All rebel fighter allies gain rebel network for the rest of the encounter, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. And rebel network plus 30% critical chance, 30 speed, immunity, healing immunity, and when this character is defeated, revive with 100% health. Whenever this character defeats an enemy, dispel all debuffs on this character, and all allies cover 100% health and protection. Man, rebel fighters, I know we're in a weird spot where it's kind of hard for teams that really stand out, especially new characters and teams that really stand out when you look at the end game meta. But man, rebel fighters, super strong team. Even Saw Gerrera, to this day, because of Luthen, has a very solid spot in the meta. I can only imagine what this will look like with Kleya involved here. Moving on, though, let's go take a look at the, let's check out the FAQ, some interesting stuff. Luthen, he has to be specifically target and be at 25% health or less for the sacrifice mechanic trigger. I love those sacrifice mechanics. It's nice when you really feel like, you know, you're sacrificing someone for the greater good. Look at Bane, look at Fives, right? Yeah. Now we have the unique ability with the 3v3 Omicron. I don't have lately. I have always. Wow, how poetic. Kleya has 50% potency and 30% critical chance. Whenever an undermined enemy inflicts Kleya with a debuff, she dispels all debuffs on herself and reduces her cooldowns by 1. Allies with keen stratagem. Hey, that's Drogon all over again. They have 25% accuracy and the ignore taunt. Essentially, kind of giving the call to action buff on a Leia's crew to everyone so they can ignore taunt. But now keen stratagem is doing that on this team. Oof, man, I can't wait to try this out in May, folks. Whenever Luthen Rail uses special ability, inflict the target enemy with undermine for 1 turn. Kleya gains 10% terminator whenever a rebel fighter ally's damage once per turn, 20% if the target is Luthen. And while Luthen Rail is active, Kleya can't be targeted, has 100% evasion. They love those 100% evasion of those characters, man. Those are my favorite, when you can't touch us. If Cassian Andor Undercover is active and Luthen was not at the start of the battle, Kleya gains the same benefits. First time Luthen Rail's health is reduced to 25% or less, he gains damage immunity for 1 turn, and Kleya takes a bonus turn. And the 3v3 magic coming in. At the start of battle, if there are no Galactic Legend allies, so no Leia, right? Or I guess anyone for that matter. And if the ally in the leader slot is Saw Gerrera or Mon Mothma, Kleya gains bonuses based on the leader. If the leader Saw Gerrera, She gets the access tag, very much how Luthen would do it, and if leader's Mon Mothma, she becomes a curator until the end of the encounter. And furthermore, if Luthen rails an ally, Kleya can't be defeated until his health is reduced to 25% health or less. The first time that's, oh man, that's great. So again, now you're creating sort of like a Rey-Ben situation, right? Ben can't die unless Rey's into yellow. Rey can't die unless Ben's dead. So really kind of, even though they're not connected by the Force, they're connected by the love of the rebellion. The first time Luthen rails health is reduced to 25% or less, Kleya resets the cooldown of her special. This is do or die. And when she's an Axis member, so with Saw, whenever Kleya uses I know what I want, inflict buff immunity on the target enemy for 1 turn, which can't be dispelled, and everyone gains evasion up for 2 turns. Because again, when they're undercover, you can't see them, you can't get your hands on them. You guys seeing what they're doing? And if when she's a curator, whenever Kleya uses this is do or die, you rally Mon Mothma and all Rebel Fire allies. My gosh, you get rally on Mon Mothma, rally here, rally there, rally everywhere. All allies gain critical damage up for 2 turns. Mon Mothma and all Rebel Fighter allies gain 30% offense, constantly stacking, and immune determined reduction for 2 turns. If an ally already has keen stratagem, you grant it to all the Rebel Fighter allies till the end of the encounter. Man, this guys, this looks like a ton of fun. Oh gosh, why do we gotta wait so long? Oh man, it's like they seem so good on paper. I can see how they're going to connect to the larger picture, but it's just like it's out of reach. Again, maybe at the minimum, we can kind of see it in a less exciting way in Coliseum. I'm trying to find the positives here, people. Okay, give me some credit. And now we move on to the next one, Vel. Next character kit reveal, Vel, and this is coming in as the second marquee character on February 24th. So let's scroll on down, scroll in. We're scrolling. All right, she's a determined leader of the Aldani heist crew, a mission that would become one of the rebellion's earliest and boldest strikes against the Empire. As Cassian squad leader during the pivotal operation, she demonstrated unwavering commitment to the cause, even when it meant making impossible choices. Her relationship with Cinta and her tactical leadership made her an essential figure in the early days of the Rebel Alliance. And now she's designed to work with Cassian Andor's Undercover's Rebel Fighter Squad, heavily synergized with Cassian Andor, Cinta, Kleya, and Luthen Rail. Man, I'm so happy Luthen's getting some dividends. Again, I still think he's a, of course, our better, not Galactic Legends, but Conquest units, right? But he's definitely top half of Conquest units, IMO yo. And the fact that now he's going to be slotting into a legendary style team, big upgrade. But I do feel a bit sad for Mothma and Saw. And I feel like they're still kind of relevant, right? Saw Gerrera does great work up against things like, for example, Queen Amidala's. Those are nice, right? Still kind of annoying on defense if you're not bringing the right firepower. Vel serves as a good damage dealer who becomes increasingly tanky as the battle progresses, sharing her offensive stats with teammates while punishing undermined enemies. Every time I see that, I think of the Incredibles movie. Was it the little mole, the Underminer, whatever the heck he was called? Anyways, basic ability, BK-43 Blaster Rifle. Deal physical damage to target enemy, inflict offense down for 1 turn. If the target is undermined, this offense down can't be dispelled. Vel gains a stack of resilient defense and an additional stack per undermined enemy for 2 turns. On her turn, if all enemies are undermined, Rebel Fighter allies gain 50% protection for 1 turn, and Vel gains Deflective Ward. They've been playing a little bit of that, with a little bit, what's it called, Jocasta, right? We're getting a little bit more here as well. And moving on, though, let's keep rolling. Keep scrolling down. All right. Disrupting a barrage. Deal physical damage to all enemies. Blind them for 1 turn. Oh, man. There's like one debuff. I'm sure you guys, when you watch me stream, you see this all the time. There's one debuff I'm blind to it, I guess is the way I'm trying to say it. And it's literally the blind debuff. Like, I'll be attacked. It's like, I didn't realize I had blind on me. Super annoying. So I just know this is going to really make my day when I'm fighting her. And it can't even be resisted by undermined enemies. Man, Rebel Fighter allies gain entrenched for 1 turn. Nice. Okay. Which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. My gosh, this sounds so good. If all enemies are undermined, Rebel Fighter allies gain critical chance up and critical damage up for 2 turns. Man, we got some solid survivability. We got some solid control, ways to pump out more damage. And the entrenched here plus 50% defense. Deal 25% more damage for each other entrenched ally when attacking. Dude, that sounds gnarly. Recover 5% health and protection at the start of the turn. Wow. That's great. And she does also get entrenched as well because she is a Rebel Fighter ally. Wow. Cool stuff, man. And now we go straight into the unique ability, Jeez, territory battle. So likely not too interested in it. I mean, my rebel fighters already do. Like, if I really wanted to, I have plenty of other options, right, when it comes to light side teams. But if I wanted to, like, they already could do some good work with Mon Mothma, Luthen Rail, right? Even I do Saw Gerrera sometimes on that one Kashyyyk special mission, right? So it's like, this isn't. Territorials Omicrons are in such a weird spot. You're already getting a top tier team, and generally, Territorials is just sort of an extension of top territory war and Grand Arena, it seems. So it's kind of a weird spot. Anyways, at the start of the encounter, all allies are both fighters. Well gains a stack of resilient defense and 2 additional stacks. If Cinta is an ally, we'll get to it. At the start of her turn, Rebel Fighter allies gain 8% of Val's critical chance, critical damage, defense penetration, offense for 1 turn. You know what this sounds like? It sounds like she's sort of like an R2-D2 for the team. And then she gains 50% offense per undermined enemy until the start of her next turn. Then while Val has resilient defense, she has 100% critical avoidance, counter chance, defense, undermined enemies deal 10% less damage. And let's just read the territory battle Omicron. All Rebel Fighter allies gain 100% max health, offense, and max protection till the end of the battle. Again, already some cool stuff, right? Yeah, just Territorials is a weird spot. You know, again, the problem with Territorials is primarily it's a relic problem, not a team problem, right? You know, you guys probably have the teams out there, but you just might not have them at full relic 7, 8, 9, right? That's kind of the big issue. Anyways, whenever Vel gains a stack of resilient defense, all Rebel Fighter allies gain 50% offense, stacking until the start of Vel's next turn. Whenever a Rebel Fighter ally defeats an enemy, all Rebel Fighter allies recover 20% health and protection and gain damage immunity for 1 turn, which can't be caught, expelled, or prevented. And whenever a Rebel Fighter ally defeats an undermined enemy, all other enemies become undermined for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. And don't worry, we're not done yet. We got one more unique ability. She was a miracle. Let's get to work. Now, we had a little bit of evasion before. Now we're going to get a bit of accuracy. Vel has 35% accuracy whenever Cinta or Vel are attacked by an undermined enemy. Vel gains a stack of resilient defense, max 8 stacks for 2 turns. Whenever an undermined enemy attacks Cinta, she recovers 10% protection. Vel gains 10% turn meter. Then anytime Vel uses the base ability on an undermined enemy, Cinta assists. Whenever an enemy attacks Cinta at the start of Vel's turn, that enemy is exposed until the end of the turn. Boy, it just keeps on going. At the start of her turn, if all enemies are undermined, you get 50% protection up for 1 turn, and Vel gains deflective ward for 1 turn until she is damaged. Then the first time Vel falls below 50% health, she and Cinta reset their cooldowns, equalize their health and protection. I love how there's like so many pillars kind of leaning into each other. You know, we have Kleya leaning into Luthen. We have Cinta and Vel leaning into one another. So it's kind of nice that this really, I gotta say, just so far going over these kits, you really feel the Andor connection strong within them. It really does feel like the whole story of like these 2 characters are really important to one another. They're bonded. It's really coming across well, I think, here. So it's gonna be interesting to see if there's like a puzzle when you take out the team. Sort of like, you know, again, there's the Rey Ben puzzle. You got to get Rey into yellow, then Ben into yellow, then let them come out damage unity, get Rey back into yellow, then kill off Ben, try to kill off Rey before Ben revives. So I think it feels like we're gonna have like several different puzzles baked in there. And now we have Cinta. Assets to come later, folks. Sorry. Cinta casts a cold, fearless assassin whose dedication to rebellion is fueled by the trauma of losing her family to Imperial stormtroopers. She views herself as a weapon rather than a person and plays as ruthless, deep cover assassin. Cinta prioritizes the cause over a romantic relationship while her partner, Vel Sartha, yearns for a life beyond the struggle. She's going to be an attacker yet again. Cinta is a stealthy attacker who will team up with her fellow rebel fighter, Cassian Andor. Undercover. Luthen Rail, Kleya, and Vel from the Andor TV series. You ready for it? Let's get moving. Basic ability. Blaster Burn. Deal physical damage to target enemy and inflict defense down for 1 turn. If they are undermined, this defense down can't be dispelled. So a lock defense down. All right, but hold on. Let's keep going. Cinta's gonna stealth for 1 turn. And then moving on, special 1, fight to the death. Deal physical damage to target enemy. Cinta is gaining stealth for 2 turns. Yet again, you're going to inflict breach for 1 turn. It's going to be great for all those breach conquest feats that'll likely happen, right? And if they are breached by this ability, ability block them for 1 turn. If they are ability blocked by this ability, death mark them for 1 turn, which can't be dispelled. This ability can't be resisted by undermined enemies. I like those sort of nesting doll effects. Sort of like, you know, I think Thrawn was kind of one of the first where he'd give you speed down, which you think would help you. Then it converts into ability block, and then you can stun, right? Ability block people, right? You know, so kind of interesting stuff. with that going on there. I like that. I like that they do a little bit more than that, where kind of, all right, if you have this, it can progress into that, taking advantage of debuffs or buffs that, you know, might be less loved. Again, think of defense up for Bad Batch, pretty much useless for the most part in this game until Bad Batch kind of made something interesting with it. Let's keep it going. Moving, we have the unique ability, Blooded, Fearless Warrior, Zeta, and an Omicron. Whenever a Rebel fighter uses a special ability against an undermined enemy, Cinta assists. Whenever Cinta uses an ability while stealth on her turn, expose a target enemy for 2 turns. Whenever Cinta attacks on a turn while stealth, her attacks have a 100% critical chance, 50% critical damage, and defense penetration. And then, whenever a Rebel fighter is damaged by an undermined enemy, reduce the cooldown of the fight to death by 1. Jeez. Once per turn, whenever an undermined enemy inflicts a debuff on a Rebel fighter ally, Cinta gains speed up for 1 turn. I gotta say, this is gonna be, I think, a little bit more of a different analysis. When we look at the previous era, none of the characters really connected to each other. Well, none of them did, yeah. And you kind of have to see how they work in their own individual pockets. But seeing how all this stuff is coming together now, I feel like, again, might be a little hopeful seeing all the Andor stuff. You know, you get a little bit of that rebellion hope in you. Makes me want to believe that there might be a bit more that strategy we talked about. I feel like Coliseum's lacking, since we're going to be having a team together, even those loaned ones or borrowed ones, summoned ones, that are going to have rebellion type of synergies with one another. But anyways, I digress. While in territories at the start of the battle, Cinta stealths for 1 turn. Again, more stealth, baby. She's going to have 100% defense and max health. Whenever enemies damage Cinta while she is stealth, they are undermined for 1 turn. If they are already undermined, inflict heal immunity for 1 turn, which can't be dispelled or resisted. Rebel fighter allies have 100% defense penetration while attacking enemies affected by Cinta's debuffs from fight to the death. And moving on, still, we're not done. More words, more better, last I checked. Whenever a deathmark enemy is defeated, all Rebel fighter allies recover 100% health and protection, gain 10 speed, stack it to 50, and Cinta gains, 100% critical damage for the rest of the battle. We're not done. Let's keep rolling. Rebel fighter allies are going to get 10% off and stacking for each undermined enemy, and if all enemies are undermined, Rebel fighter allies are immune to instant defeat and max health reduction effects. Oof. Sorry, Cat. Sorry, Cal. Sorry, Nihilus. Not looking good for you. Whenever an enemy uses a special ability, Cinta gains 15% turn meter, doubled if that enemy is undermined. And whenever a Rebel ally loses VIP, that's shorty stuff right there. Dispel all debuffs from all Rebel fighter allies and grant all Rebel fighter allies 25% turn meter. My goodness. There's a lot going on in these kits. Man, this would have been killer for Grand Arena. Again, Territories, I think it's a more of an odd state than it ever was, ever since the relic changes that happened and Droid Brain's becoming a bit easier to get now. I really want to love Territories. And again, I like Territories in other games out there that have a territory-like feature, but they got to make some changes. A very stale, very old, outdated formula that they got. But anyways, really, really neat. But hold on. Moving down. You're the reason I'm here. Whenever Cinta damages an enemy, Cinta and Vel recover 5% health and protection, doubled if that enemy is undermined. And Vel gains a stack of resilient defense for 2 turns, going up to a maximum of 8 stacks. And if Vel is active, whenever Cinta has her stealth dispelled, Cinta gains stealth and gain 100% offense. My gosh. Oh, man. Jeez. Cinta gains 10% turn meter once per turn whenever a Rebel fighter ally is damaged by a debuffed enemy, and an additional 10% turn meter if that ally is Vel. Whenever a Rebel fighter ally damages a debuffed enemy on a turn, Cinta dispels all debuffs on herself, and if that enemy is undermined, dispel all debuffs on Vel. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting trying to figure out who the heck are you going to take out first with all these things going on. Because remember, especially with Kleya and Luthen, the last thing you want to do is accidentally cause a situation where Luthen's going to revive the entire team all over again, right? Let me say something. I'll give the Rebels credit. They got some really neat stuff cooking in the kitchen here. But let's be real. I'm here for the ISB, baby. And again, I'm hoping we're going to get those deets on allegedly Krennic getting a little bit of a touch up. If it's going to be anything like Grand Moff Tarkin, I'm going to be down, my friends, to ISB town. So let's get to it. Dedra is a beloved antagonist from Andor. She represents ambition and tenacity, which drives her to make ruthless decisions that sometimes undermines her allies and the very faction which she serves. Her magnetic character and striking poise make her an exciting addition to the holotables. She'll fit right into her squad of their fellow ISB allies and strategic support. Her ISB allies, including the pre-existing Imperial Probe Droid and Krennic, as well as a new ISB unit, Major Partagaz and KX Security Droid. Oh, May. I'm marking on the calendar. May's when I could play this game again. And remember, we got some more deets about these guys, so we have to wait and see about Krennic and Probe Droid. But let's get down to business. Effective covert action, the bazooka ability. Deal physical damage to target enemy and inflict expose on them for 1 turn, right? That kind of makes sense. She's trying to expose the rebellion. If they are already exposed at the start of Dedra's turn, she deals an additional 50% bonus damage and gains some retaliate. Woo-wee. Special 1 though, watch your back. Cooldown of 3. Dispel all debuffs and ISB allies. Wow, we don't have a lot of cleansing style characters for Empire. Yeah, Thrawn, of course, has a targeted cleanse he can do, but not just dispel all debuffs and all ISB allies. That's a very, very rare commodity. Unfortunately, it's just for ISB allies, but still a part of the larger Imperial network. Wish it was for all Empire allies. That would have went crazy nice. And Dedra gains tenacity up for 2 turns. You call all other ISB allies that are not undermined in the target ally to assist. Then undermine target other ally for 2 turns, which can't be copied, dispelled, evaded, or resisted. Grant all their assisting allies offense up for 2 turns, and they recover 50% of their max health at the end of the turn. And I love that we also have an undermine mechanic on this side, because again, the rebels are trying to undermine the Empire, but the Empire is also trying to undermine the rebels. So is this a cat and mouse game? Is this a cat game? A mouse and mouse game? I don't know what's going on here, but again, undermine plus 25 speed, minus 25% critical avoidance, critical chance, can't gain bonus turn meter. Let's keep moving on. Do not bore me. Cooldown of 3. Dedra gains 20% critical chance and critical damage, an additional 20% stacking, max of 100% for each other undermined ISB ally until she uses her basic ability on her turn. If Dedra is rank 2 or above, she gains protection up for 2 turns. If Dedra is rank 3, grant all ISB support allies retribution and speed up for 2 turns. I like this. Again, it's sort of like she's getting promoted through the ranks, right? Again, sort of like the rebels, as I said, sort of rebel fighter-esque, where you can kind of promote the spawnable trooper to commander, right? I love that. Love that we got something like that going on here. So really fun stuff. We got to keep moving on though, because we got unique abilities. I got to say, it feels like very chunky unique abilities that we got with these guys. You know, usually it's like, you know, you get your basics, couple specials, maybe a lead, 1 passive, right? But we're getting a couple of these, man, for all these characters. Let's check it out. Unique 1. Systems either change or die. Zeta and Omicron. 3v3 Grand Arena Edition as well. I need some 5v5 Grand Arena Omicrons here. At the start of battle, all allies are ISB. Dedra gains 35% tenacity, 50% turn meter. I know it probably wouldn't make sense. I was kind of, again, we have to wait and see what Krennic's going to look like if they're doing all these little bit of touch-ups on him. I was hoping for Death Trooper to be an ISB age, even though technically it's not ISB. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of change I got to do for Krennic if we're going to make him a bit more valuable, right? Whenever other ISB allies trigger expose on an enemy on their turn, Dedra undermines that ISB ally for 1 turn. Additionally, if Dedra is rank 3, is it Dedra or Dedra? I can't remember. Potato. Whenever an ISB ally uses a special ability against an enemy with exposed, they inflict torture on the target enemy for 2 turns at the end of that turn. Whenever Dedra undermines an ISB ally, she recovers 10% health up her max health and gains overconfident for 2 turns. It's sort of reminding me a bit of oh my gosh, what's that thing that Piet has? Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the debuff that he, oh my gosh, I'm sure you guys are gonna yell at me and say, it's that. It sort of reminds me of the debuff that Piet has. Inevitable failure. There we go. I knew it was in there. I had to kind of dig through the tactical scanners in that one. Anyways, whenever an undermined ISB ally takes a turn, she gains 10% turn meter. Whenever an ISB ally's undermined debuff expires, they gain overconfident for 2 turns. Whenever Dedra has overconfident, she's immune to taunt effects. So kind of like how Keen Stratagem's allowing you to ignore taunts. We're gonna have a bit of that here. And then 3v3 Grand Arenas at the start of the battle, Dedra exposes. I see, I'm going between Dedra and Dedra. I think it's Dedra. Dedra exposes all enemies for 2 turns and gains 30% max health. While ISB allies are undermined, they have an 80% offense and defense. Ooh, so you're getting something more out of it, right? When ISB allies gain undermined, if they are already below 50% health or drop below 50% health, limited once per turn or once per undermine, they gain protection up and tenacity up for 20% until they are no longer undermined. Whenever Dedra, Potato undermines an ISB ally below 50% health, she gains potency up for 2 turns. All right, Let's keep moving on. Overconfident, for those that don't remember, Fennec Shand, that's been a one that we haven't really seen for a long time. They're really dipping into the bucket of some debuffs and buffs that were kind of unique to some characters and teams, and now they're bringing it over here. And don't forget, Torture is sort of like a more improved version of Defense Down in a way. Defense Down, Exposed, kind of brought together as one. And unique too, Chain of Command. At the start of battle, Dedra gains rank 1. Every time Dedra undermines an ally, she gains a rank. Every time an undermine expires from an ally without them taking damage, she gains a rank. So whenever she's at rank 2, she gains Health Steal Up for 1 turn. Whenever she's at rank 3, she gains Foresight for 2 turns. And ISB rank abilities gain additional effects based on rank ranging from 1 to 3. So now that brings us to Major Partagaz, the leader of the ISB. He's going to be arriving at the holo table to contain any unforeseen rebel activities with his ruthless efficiency and analytical and strategic decisions and an unwavering drive to protect the Empire. Major Partagaz is designed to be a leader who can be ruthless in his decisions but also stand firm as support and mentor to his fellow ISB teams such as Dedra and KX Security Droid. Major Partagaz is expected to help these new ISB units alongside Director Krennic and Imperial Probe Droid to punish the enemies as the battle proceeds. Let's get to business. Thesis, please. Basic ability. Inflict health down on target enemy for 2 turns. During his turn, call target other ISB ally to assist, dealing 25% more damage per rank Major Partagaz has. And if he's got rank 2, all their ISB allies gain speed up for 2 turns, right? He helps out his crew, right? And if Major Partagaz is rank 3, you also daze the target enemy for 1 turn. So, yeah, 1 turn. Moving on. Calibrate your enthusiasm. Actually, wait, did they mix this up? Calibrate the enthusiasm? Yeah, I think they mixed up the graphics here. Let's remember this here, all right? Yeah, I think, yeah, because the calibrate your enthusiasm, unless they mess something up, that's the leader ability. I don't know. This looks like maybe they mixed something up. Well, special one, authority is brittle. Not sure if that's the name of the special, name of the lead. Something may have got jumbled up here. Call all of their ISB allies to assist. They recover 20% health and protection if all allies were ISB at the start of the battle, so you can't be eking in, Death Trooper, whatever you want. Anything from the other Empire has to be ISBs. Again, we're kind of being handheld here a little bit. Don't you use those Lego bricks anywhere else. We got to use the Craggle. Shout out to all those that watched the Lego movie. All enemies are target locked for 2 turns. Going to be good for Probe Droid. Target lock is huge for Probe Droid. Man, I swear I was like the only guy rocking Probe Droid. Everyone's like, not that special. And there I am, rocking him to destroy the meta. Man, I remember once upon a time when Trey was kind of complicated. I would kind of cheese it. I'd have Palpatine, steal health from everyone, and then Probe Droid could just insta-kill. Well, it was more of an insta-kill back then, not so much nowadays. Yeah, 99,000 damage or whatever it is, 69,000. Yay! It doesn't really cut as much nowadays. But anyways, I digress. If the target enemy was already target locked, all ISB allies have their cooldowns reduced by 1. Ooh, that's nice. That's nice. If Major Partagaz is rank 3, blind the target enemy for 2 turns and increase the cooldown of all enemies by 1. Rank 2 or above, ISB allies gain Retaliate for 2 turns and 5% tenacity stacking for the rest of the battle. Rank 3 ISB allies gain Tactical Supremacy. Poor Trench, wasn't that like his thing? Now everyone's got Tactical Supremacy nowadays. And this ability can't be evaded or resisted. Man, this is nice. Very nice. But now we got to get to the calibrate your enthusiasm, or is this authority is brittle? I don't know. I think calibrate your enthusiasm is supposed to be the special one if I had to guess. Authority's brittle sounds more leader-like, I guess. At the start of the battle, Major Partagaz inflicts potency down, speed down, and all enemies for 2 turns. ISB allies have 50% bonus protection, 30 speed on ISB allies that are rank 3 ignore taunt effects on their turn until the end of the battle. And then ISB allies have 25% critical chance, defense, tenacity at rank 1. These bonuses are doubled at rank 2, quadrupled at rank 4. Big numbers, baby. That's what, 100% critical chance, 100% defense, and 100% tenacity. My goodness. Whenever an enemy recovers protection, all ISB allies gain 5% offense stacking until the end of the battle. ISB allies deal 5% more damage when target locked enemies, when targeting a target locked enemy, and recover 5% health protection. ISB allies inflict speed down for 2 turns whenever they attack out of turn. And while in Grand Arenas, finally, any Grand Arena scenario, not just here, not just there, everywhere. While in Grand Arenas, Major Partagaz starts battle at rank 3 and gains 50 speed. I want to know what his base speed is. I guess we'll find out this update tomorrow. Whenever an allied ISB support gains Retaliate, they gain 20% bonus protection for 1 turn, and whenever an ISP ally is damaged, Major Partagaz gains 15% turn meter. The first time each ally below 30% health, they recover 30% health and protection. ISP supports allies stealth for 1 turn, and ISP allies, tank allies, taunt for 1 turn. So it's nice we got these more reactive things, right? Because, you know, if you have a tank, if people can avoid it, like all that keen strategy we talked about a moment ago, man, tanks aren't that valuable, right? Well, if you're under stealth, the tanks have a lot more value, i.e. look at the Bad Batch, right? Bad Batch V2, everyone's under stealth, so even if Wrecker's not taunting, he's taunting. Unless Omega accidentally makes herself taunt, whole different problem. But anyways, well, not taunt, but stay out in the open, which essentially makes her taunt. Checking out the unique one, security is an illusion. Whenever Partagaz inflicts the debuff on an enemy, all enemies lose 5% potency, stacking to a maximum of 50%. And at the start of battle, all allies are ISB. Yes, I get it. I get it. I get it. I won't theory craft. I promise you. Major Partagaz can't be targeted for the rest of the battle. So again, creating a Mon Mothma situation. Again, I said it's a rebel fighter team, but it's an ISB fighting team. Whenever an enemy gains foresight or stealth, dispel it and expose that enemy for 2 turns. No, you can't have it. We can see right through your BS with 1 stack for each rank Major Partagaz has, which can't be evaded or resisted. And whenever an enemy recovers protection, remove 5% of their max protection, stacking until the end of the battle. So you do it 20 times, well, that means you probably have no more max protection. And at the start of the Major Partagaz's turn, all ISP allies gain 20% offense for 2 turns. And if there are no allied combatants, Major Partagaz deuces out of the battle. He pieces out, he escapes. And then we have the chain of command yet again. If all allies are ISB, Major Partagaz starts the encounter at rank 2. Whenever an ISP ally uses a special ability, all their ISP allies at rank 2 or higher gain 10% counter chance stacking. Whenever an enemy is defeated, ISP allies increase their rank by 1. And whenever an ISP ally is defeated, active ISP allies decrease their rank by 1. So playing up the numbers a little bit there. So we have one more to read. One more Empire one to read. We'll come back to the big daddy here, right? Cassian Andor, but he's undercover. In a moment, I want to jump ahead to the KX droid, just so we can kind of finish the entire picture when it comes to the ISB units, and then we'll come back to Andor. Yeah. So 60,000 character limit. Hey, Meathead, I have a crazy idea. How about a kit every 2 weeks? That could maybe solve that problem. I don't know. Just saying. I will say, I would love if they're gonna like dump all these character kits at once. Again, other games I play, Raid Shadow Legends, even Marvel Strike Force, they do it through content creators, for example. Release some gameplay. I would love to see some gameplay. I think, they talked a bit about, they're trying to make things more transparent, I guess, with this Coliseum era material stuff. It would be very transparent if people could see some gameplay so they can be like, okay, I know how good this is. Or people might not want to. Maybe because it's going to be hard for some of these characters to get some impressive gameplay, let's say. So I don't know, just putting it out there would be nice. If they're going to drop all the kits, give us gameplay. But again, at least we have, for example, the data miners out there giving us gameplay if CG does not want. So shout out to SVG Events. You guys are the best. So here we go, KX Droid. So essentially K2, they just got to give him a staff. There we go. Probably saved a lot on the art cost. I kid. It looks like they added a few other things to this guy as well. Andor introduces KX droids as a stoic and obedient reinforced machines which have the potential to do great damage while shielding their allies. This version of KX draws additional inspiration from Jedi Survivor games, which is one reason why he carries the Electro Right baton. Cool, I'm glad they're dipping into that a bit. He's the missing piece of the ISB squad, granting them a stout tank who can survive against attacking enemies, deal damage, and enable Probe Droid to self-destruct more often. Okay, I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, because right now, the way I'm reading this ISB team, it's very support heavy. So they need to come up with very creative ways. We saw some of it right with Partagaz and Dedra. Maybe Probe Droid constantly dying over and over again could be helpful. Yeah, it's very much so an interesting team, which I guess even the Imperial Trooper team, it's a very support-heavy team. It's all supports, and Dark Trooper's like the one attacker that kind of moves the damage along a little bit here. So let's check it out. Basic ability, Baton deployed. Deal physical damage to target enemy and gain a stack of overcharge. Maximum of 5. Cool, we're bringing that in here. And recover 20% health and protection per stack of overcharge during his turn. If he has 5 stacks of overcharge, shock the enemy for 1 turn, which can't be resisted, and remove all overstack charges here. And now, I love this. Next one, we have the special ability, Please Do Not Resist. That's a cool one, kicking a little barrier at the enemy. All right, that's fine. That's fun. I like it. What do we got here? Cooldown of 4. KX Security Droid gains offense equal to 200% of his defense for 1 turn. Deal physical damage to all enemies, and KX gains defense up and taunts for 2 turns. If all allies are ISB, also gain alert protection up for 100% for 2 turns. Other ally ISB droids take 5% max health damage that ignores protection. Let me read that one more time. If all allies are ISB, you also get alert and protection up. Nice. 100% protection. That's nasty. Ooh. Thick droid. Other ISB droids, that's going to be probe droid, take 5% max health damage that ignores protection. So again, this is mainly meant sort of like that Palpatine thing that I abused way back when, where Palpatine steals health. Probe droid turn 1, boop, self-destructing. So it's great we're seeing that. And check it out. Everyone's got a unique connection to all this rank stuff. If KX security droid is rank 2 or above, call him to assist. If he is rank 3, stagger the target enemy for 1 turn. Neat. Now moving on. Unique ability. Controlled operations, Zeta and Omicron. It's a territory war. Omicron, though. Can we get a moment of silence? All right, let's keep moving. At the start of battle, KX security droid gains 15% max health for each ISB ally. And I'm assuming that counts himself because it's not even saying each other. It's each ally, and he is an ally to himself. So there you go. 15 times 4, 60% max health. And again, protection up is based off your max health. So you can see how nasty that's going to get. Whenever KX security droid gains 5 stacks overcharge, he gains max health, 10% stacking. If KX attacks a target locked enemy, expose them for 2 turns. If KX is critically hit, he gains a stack of overcharge and inflicts defense down on the attacking enemy for 2 turns. Whenever an ISB droid ally is defeated, KX gains frenzy for 2 turns and a stack of endure for the rest of the encounter. And we're not done yet. Whenever an undermined ally is damaged, taunt for 1 turn, and whenever KX is undermined, he gains protection up again. Based off your max health, that's gonna be nice for the rest of the encounter. Very nice. So this is gonna be away from the taunt a little bit more yet, because we're past the days where you press the button and you taunt. You need something more, right? We've seen a lot of ways of using this, right? Putting everyone under stealth except the tank, or like Lord Vader, when the tank loses the taunt, they get mark on him. So we need more creative ways than just press button, I taunt, or I pre-taunt. So that we have a lot of reactive taunts for this. Very nice. And then while in Territory Wars, if all allies are ISB at the start of the battle, KX gains Retribution for 1 turn, taunts for 3 turns, and immune to daze. Very good to see that. And all allies have 50% max health and max protection till the end of the battle. I have to apply this immediately, even though I don't know if we're actually gonna be able to use it anytime soon. Yeah, it's so difficult. Even Jedi Master Windu, we really don't get many opportunities to use him. And he was like the guy, like the big territory war thing that happened last year. It's like, again, a bigger problem because it's a smaller table for the territory war board, right? Anywho's, whenever KX gains rank 3, he can no longer lose rank. Whenever KX attacks at a turn, it gains 1% max health stack until the end of the battle, and all allies gain 5% Terminator. Whenever an ISB ally uses his special ability, KX will assist, hence why it's important he does not get dazed. And whenever KX uses his ability, please do not resist, and has more than 3 stacks overcharge, he gains foresight for 1 turn. TF? Boy, Meathead must have been mad, man. He has 5 stacks of overcharge. Also blind all enemies for 1 turn. And check this out. Whenever IPD uses self-destruct, all allies gain endure, which can't be dispelled. They recover 100% health, 100% protection, and the cooldown of KX abilities, please do not resist, is reset. Do we have, actually, I can't quite remember, endure. Do we have a description for that? Yeah, I read through them like, oh, endure. I don't remember what that does. Do we not have an endure? I'll check in a second here. And then the chain of command, right? Everyone's got a little bit of a different connection to it. At the start of battle, KX security droid gains rank 1. Whenever KX security droid attacks out of turn while taunting, he gains a rank. Whenever taunt is dispelled, KX security droid loses their rank. So while KX is rank 2 or above, his base ability deals 10% true damage based on his max health. That could be nice. That could be good. You know, I guess it just depends what his total max health is going to really look like. If it's only 100,000, 10,000 is not a lot. If it's 200,000 health, well, you know, 20,000, you know, it's still something. You know, right? Tanks aren't really meant to be the main damage drivers, but it's nice to have. And when he's at rank 3, he gets 100% counter chance. Do we have now? That's the last thing here. Do we have an endure description? Because for some reason I cannot remember this here. Yeah, endure. Yeah, I'm not seeing a description for that. Might have to go back to my archives to check that out. But let's check this out right here. Moving on to the Big Daddy, Cassian Andor, Undercover, as our journey guide that we are going to be building up to. Not going to lie, I love the Andor, but Spider Legs Mall feels like a cooler thing to wait till the end of the finish line, right? Like that was, I actually never really thought they'd add this soon, It's only been 10 years. I was expecting another 10 years. But anyways, I digress. Cassian Andor Undercover Edition was built upon the foundation of love we had for the Andor series, being able to watch him grow into the leader he became throughout the show. We knew that we had to find him a home. Throughout the series, we saw him working with parallel with Luthen and his operatives around the galaxy, each playing a significant role in undermining the oppression of the Empire. We wanted to reflect that with having Cassian lead a new team of rebel fighters that included them with Sartha, with their unwavering resilience, Cinta with their fearlessness, and Kleya Marquis. Get it? Marquis? With their tactical prowess. We hope you enjoy fighting the Empire with us here. All right, let's get to work. Basic ability, Clem. Deal physical damage to target enemy and inflict speed down for 1 turn. If they already had speed down for this ability, you undermine them for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. If they're already undermined, you undermine another random enemy who doesn't already have it for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled. So again, I like those successive things that kind of work off one another. During his turn, if all enemies are undermined, you call all the rebel fighter allies to assist. Yes, only on his turn, so you can't like call him to assist out of his turn, get everyone to assist, but still nice on the basic ability, calling everyone to assist. That's neat. I love it. Moving on though, check this out. Keith Gergo, cooldown of 3. I love it. He just vanishes. Peace out. Really cool. Nice. We're getting like a little executrix kind of animation here. Dispel all debuffs on rebel fighter allies and they gain high morale for 1 turn. Man, this is like ancient assault battle stuff, right? With all the morale stuff they have in there. What is it? A place of power, right? For 1 turn, which can't be copied, and 10% terminator, deal physical damage to all enemies, an additional instance of damage to undermine enemies. Undermine the enemy with the least terminator for 2 turns. And moving on here, really good stuff they have here. Variant Sky, special ability 2. Target other rebel fighter allies gains 50 speed for 1 turn, which is nice because sometimes you can't get turn meter right. A bonus turn would be more preferred, but anyways, you also cover 20% health and protection. And check this out. If all allies are rebel fighters, the target other ally also gains VIP. I probably should have bumped this up a little bit earlier when we were talking about VIP when we were doing the rebel chapter, but here you go. You're going to get even more VIP until they are damaged twice. So not a permanent thing, sort of like shorty, right? You get it for a little bit, right? And then you're going to get 30,000 true damage to the target enemy. So does that actually mean, hold on, just 30,000 damage flat, I'm guessing? Yeah, which can't be evaded, blinds them for 1 turn, and then you undermine the enemy in the leader slot for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. This ability deals 15,000 more true damage for each turn of VIP has taken this encounter, going to a stack of 150,000 additional damage. I don't want to quite say it's an insta-kill, but it sounds like this is getting close to that. That's some really big damage that could ramp up here. And check it out, Grand Arena Omicrons, baby. They know. They know. They know. You better make it Grand Arena if you want to keep our interest for 3 months without being able to play with these characters in a meaningful way. While in Grand Arena, if all allies are rebel fighters, the target other rebel fighter ally gains damage duty for 1 turn. And rebel fighter allies gain 10% turn and max health for the rest of the encounter. Target enemies inflicted healing immunity for 1 turn, which can't be dispelled or resisted. And if they had undermined, all their enemies without undermined are undermined for 1 turn. Undermine, undermine, undermine. Yeah, say that 5 million times. And it can't be resisted. My goodness. All right, let's go for it. Keep moving. Jeez. And they're taking the VIP thing from extracting from Mon Mothma from the Senate building. So, right, kind of interesting that they're looking at that, right? Even though the effect was first brought with Shorty, that was their inspiration, right? So kind of neat that they did that. And now we get to the unique ability, More Than You Fear, Zeta and Omicron. Cassian has 50% critical avoidance per undermined enemy and gains 100% counter chance at the start of each non-undermined enemy's turn until the end of their turn. Cassian is immune to critical hit immunity, and then whenever Cassian attacks out of turn, he's inflicted with vulnerable. So we're kind of getting like a little bit of a Savage Opress style thing going on here. And now, as long as there's no galactic legend at the start of the battle, so both enemies and allies, right? So it says if there are no galactic legends at the start of the battle, it means looks at both sides of the field. It doesn't say galactic legend allies. Whenever there are 3 or more out-of-turn attacks during an enemy's turn, that enemy is undermined for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. And if any enemy is undermined, Cassian gains Fearless until no enemies are undermined. And then whenever an enemy who wasn't undermined is undermined, Cassian gains 10% turn meter. Goodness gracious. Whenever an undermined enemy removes turn meter from Cassian, all enemies lose 25% turn meter. My gosh. Jeez. Yeah, that's a lot of undermining going on there. And then whenever an enemy with undermine gains a buff from their ally, that ally's undermined for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. And at the end of the turn, all buffs are dispelled on the enemy, which who gained the buff. And all rebel fighter allies have their debuffs dispelled. Keep moving, we're not done yet. At the start of Cassian's VIP's turn, Cassian recovers health and protection. Whenever Cassian's VIP uses a special ability, the target enemy is, guess what? Undermined for 1 turn. And if you wouldn't guess it, we got more Grand Arena shenanigans here. In Grand Arena, the enemy that damages an ally with Cassian's VIP is undermined for 1 turn. So we're just going to be able to spam that easily. So you got to be careful with AoEs, right? Because you'll just get undermined, or, you know, even targeting someone that's got VIP treatment, which can't be dispelled or resisted. At the start of Cassian's VIP's turn, all discover full health and protection of the weakest ally. And then whenever Cassian's VIP uses an ability, the target enemy is undermined. My gosh. Yeah, it just on paper, it sounds like it's gonna, you know how Night System, when they get ramped up, you know, girls start dropping left and right, and Marin just starts spamming Plague. I just get that vibe. This Undermine's just gonna be spamming out there like Plague. At least on paper, it sounds like that here. Anyways, and just to clarify, does the VIP here include the VIP from Shorty? No, the bonuses from VIP here only include the VIP assigned to Cass, so you can't squeeze in Shorty and hoping to get additional effects. And the leader ability. I have friends everywhere, Zeta. Omicron, baby, hit me one more time with this. Rebel fighter allies, I should say, have 100% potency and 50% defense. Undermined enemies have minus 25 speed and can't be assisted. If all allies are rebel fighters, Cassian takes only 1 damage from attacks unless he is critically hit on that turn. Rebel fighter allies also have 100% tenacity until a rebel fighter ally is defeated, excluding summoned units. My. Whew. All right, we gotta keep going though. At the start of Cassian's VIP's turn, all undermined enemies lose 10% max health for the rest of the encounter, and all rebel fighter allies gain 10% defense, penetration, and offense. Stacking, mind you, no cap on it for the rest of the encounter. And then while a rebel fighter ally has Cassian's VIP, all rebel fighter allies have 100% critical avoidance. And yeah, it says all allied rebel fighters, and I'm assuming that includes Cassian as well, because he's an ally to himself. And whenever an enemy dispels Undermine, rebel fighter allies gain 20% turn. That's gonna be a big push, especially if we have lots of undermining going on here. Whenever an enemy dispels a buff on a rebel fighter ally, they are undermined for 1 turn, which can't be resisted. Jeez, just assume, get it in your mind. Just if you just breathe, if you blink, you're getting undermined, is the way I'm looking at this here. While in Grand Arenas, rebel fighter allies take reduced damage from percent health damage effect. This could be great against damage over time, exposes, plagues, and gain instant defeat immunity, which can't be copy dispelled or prevented until a rebel fighter ally is defeated, excluding summoned units, and then all bets are off. Whenever an ally is damaged while they have Cassian's VIP, the cooldown of Variant Sky is reset at the start of Cassian's VIP's turn. Rebel fighter allies gain 5% mastery. Man, again, anytime I see instant defeat immunity straight from the get-go, it makes me just, again, it's not as impressive as it is nowadays. Once upon a time, being a hard counter to Kenobi was kind of a rare commodity. Now it seems like it's like everyone's got it. It seems like Master Kenobi could struggle up against, like, if Kenobi can't insta-kill, that's kind of his whole gist. It seems kind of one-trick pony. We nuke out someone, then we just start dogpiling on someone. Well, it's gonna be a bit trickier than that here. Again, you know, he could, you know, brute force his way through even without the insta-kill, but the insta-kill's kind of like the thing that made him special. Anyways, though, pretty robust kits here. This is a lot, and I kind of going back, trying to bring the cows home, or whatever we're bringing home, the chickens home. I want to believe that Coliseum might get a bit more interesting with all these heavy layers of kits that lean into one another specifically, whereas Coliseum right now, it's just, well, everyone's an Inquisitor, everyone's a Rebel, everyone's an Empire, everyone's a Bounty Hunter, etc. There's a lot more layering going on here. So as much as I was not very happy with Coliseum in its first go around, I don't imagine I'm gonna like it that much more, but I imagine it's gonna be a bit more enjoyable in terms of seeing how the tie in all these character abilities that are very specific to one another. So need to wait and see how it goes. I still would have loved to see a daily raids format like Coliseum perhaps, but not limited to just the new characters. We can use old characters and mix and match stuff. But we know why they're doing this. They want to incentivize you to build up the newer characters. They don't want you focusing on the old. They want you focusing on the new. So you guys let me know what you're feeling about all these character kit reveals. It's a lot. And essentially the way I'm looking at it is like, all right, guys, I'll see you guys in a couple months. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for sticking around for the long video. A lot of interesting stuff that we're going to have to piece through over the upcoming weeks. And, you know, worst case scenario of CG, if they don't want to give us any of the gameplay, well, I'm sure somebody in the, let's just say the rebellion out there might be able to, yeah, you know, see if a Bothan, was it Bothan? Many Bothans? It's a Bothan, right? I can't remember. We'll be able to sneak some gameplay under the table for all of us to see so we get a better picture of it all. But until then, this is Arnold Holonet News. The only news you'll ever need because you have no other choice. Signing off here today with one last reminder on how it's great to be in the Empire today.
Oh, it's great to be in the Empire today. The sun never sets.